Hey guys, Paul Pro Scale Models, welcome to the build series. Today we're going to be starting Alpha Models 124 Ferrari 812 Competizione. So yes, I reviewed this kit about a year ago. This is a different kit to the one I originally reviewed. This one does have a little bit of damage we have to deal with. But it's a kit that's been in the pipeline for quite some time. I built the standard car probably a year and a half ago. I didn't like a matte grey colour. It was a great kit. And when researching pictures of that car, I found the Competizione one. And was like, wow, that thing is nuts. And it was exactly this colour scheme I'm going to do mine in. So when Alpha Models released it, I was like, yes, I have to do that one. This was very kindly sent to me for free by Alpha Models. If you know me, I'm always honest with stuff. I can't be bought in that way at all. So you'll still get an honest review of the kit. Like I say, there's an unboxing a while back. Go and have a look at that. But we're going to crack on today and start this. I've already picked my colour. We're going with Pro Scale Paint Yellow Pearl Metallic. Two-stage paint from Pro Scale, which is going to look absolutely stunning. So let's get in and started with the build. Don't forget, become a patron. Get early access to all these videos. Loads of other perks are up there right now. By clicking the link down below and clicking the applicable tier. Anyway, let's get on with the build. Okay, so we've got our kit ready, our Alpha Models 124 Ferrari 812 Competizione. We also have our paints. We have our Pro Scale two-stage pearls, our Ferrari Yellow Metallic. Absolutely beautiful two-stage pearlescent paint. I have a test spoon that are primed, painted with both stages of paint and clear coat as well. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful colour. It looks absolutely amazing. Now, I did review this a while back. So you can go back through the channel and have a look. Sadly, this is a different kit, and this one has a bit of damage to its side skirt. So we've got a broken off piece of resin. The beauty of resin is it tends to snap really cleanly. A little bit out of focus there. I'll come back in a second. So with a little bit of CA glue, we can glue this back in place, and with a little bit of light sanding, you'll never notice it's gone. So we've got some Bob Smith's purple. I think this is the max. I lose track of the Bob Smith's glues. And we've got one of our precision super applicators from Pro Scale, and we're going to apply a very small amount to the area required. Like I said, the beautiful thing of resin is it does snap off cleanly. That's why I always say, if you find parts, don't throw them away, because you just never know where it goes. So a little bit of CA glue, strategically placed with our precision applicator. These are on our site. They're all back in stock, so you can go over and have a look. And then grab our broken piece, get it orientated the correct way, and then glue it in place. And if you line this up perfect, the seam will be nearly invisible. So we get it all lined up, glued in place. You will get a little bit of CA glue splurge out. Leave that be, because we'll sand that off later, and that should infill any gap that's left behind. And just remember, this piece will be a weak piece. It's already broken off, so be careful when working on or around it later on. Got our 3M pads, which is going to very likely sand away the excess CA glue and hopefully blend that seam so it is flawless. We're going to give the kit a light rescribe. Now, the body shell on this kit is absolutely stunning. Beautiful resin, absolutely perfectly cast. Honestly, probably could get away with not rescribing them, but there's always a little bit of muck in the panel lines. I like to clean it out just as a matter of course. It's kind of become a ritual now building these kits. So use my Holly scriber. You can use your scriber of your choice. I'm just going to lightly rescribe the panel lines, working around it. Just take your time here, because you make a holy mess of the model if you don't take your time. You don't want to slip and mod the resin, so you've got to rectify that fault as well. So just take your time working your way around the model until you're happy you got it all done. So what this will do is clear any rubbish in the panel lines. It'll also deepen them a touch more as well, which never really does any harm. And it's just a matter of course to go around the whole body until we're done. And just take your time. Take your time. I like this Holly scribe because it's very positive. Door handles, I've glued them in place. Got a little bit of Rodico, which is basically a sticky putty on the end of our cocktail stick. It's a watchmaker's tool. It's ideal for picking up small parts and gluing in place like those. And then we've got a 3M pad. This is the ultra fine, I believe it is. And we're going to run all over the body and just scuff that body up, putting thousands of microabrasions in the surface to give us some nice adhesion for the primer And again, twofold, it cleans all the surface to a nice even finish everywhere, even if you throw the sponge like I just did. Like I say, those micro abrasions help the primer adhere. Resin's a tricky one. Whenever I've paint lift in the past, it's always been on resin. So make sure it is thoroughly sanded and keyed. Get all the dust out from the panel lines and recesses, like I'm doing here. My old toothbrush, well, it's not actually mine. It was my son's from about 9 years ago. And then we're going to mount it securely to our stand. Not sure what's going on with my camera. It's playing up a little bit. Seems to be going out of focus quite a bit. I hope it's not dying a death. So securely mounted to my stand. There we go. This is ready for some degrease now. So we've got a Pro Scale Paints degreaser. All these products are available on our website, proscalepaints.uk. I've got our toothbrush again. I'm just going to go over the entire model with it, getting all those nooks and crannies. To get any nasties out from the moulding process or off my fingerprints or anything that's been left behind that may interfere with our paint. In this case of working your way around the entire body. That's an alcohol-based degreaser ours, so it will evaporate away once done. But we're going to go around everywhere, every nook and cranny. Then we get a nice clean bit of kitchen paper and wipe it off to the dry. Now, if you do handle a piece again like I've just done there, make sure you wipe it over with a fresh piece of degreaser on a bit of the kitchen roll, just to get rid of your fingerprints. The most contaminative thing you can do is handle the model. The moulding process and all that malarkey, yada yada yada. Your fingerprints are the worst by far. They leave the most muck behind, grease, fat, everything. So they're what you want to get rid of. Once happy it's all prepped, we've got our Pro-Scale white primer. We've got our Water Revolution CR3 ready to go, 18 psi. We've got our anti-static brush, which we've run all over the model. And we're going to give this a prime in our Pro-Scale white primer. Now, this is a microfiller primer, so it does go on a little bit thicker. You may find you need to thin it out of the bottle. Obviously, we mix our paints to the average. So for me, they are thinned perfectly for me. But what is thinned perfectly for me may not be for you. A simple way of figuring this is out. Ask somebody the thinning ratios for the paints they use, like Mr. Hobby or Tamiya, and you'll get 10 different answers from 20 different people. So yes, it's a matter of opinion. So if you do find our primer a little bit thick, thin it with either our base coat thinner that we do sell as well, or you can use Mr. Hobby level and thinner in there too. Not an issue at all. I've tested it, make sure it works, and thin it to the appropriate level you think. Now try not to over thin it if you can. Like I say, it is a microfiller primer. It does dry with a little bit of a textured, dusty finish. That is how it's designed to work. Once it's fully dry, you can then flat it back with a microfine sponge sander, and you will have the smoothest surface you can believe to paint on. And that's what we're going for here. All this preparation is in preparation for our paint. And this is where it pays off. So each and every stage we want to be perfect. So for example, if you get a spit of paint on this primer, let it dry, flat it back and reshoot it again. Don't accept flaws, get rid of them. So for me, I think I had a couple of spits of primer here and there from poor airbrush technique, maybe not going off the airbrush properly. So I just let it dry for a couple of hours, came in, flattened it back, went over it again with another couple of coats, and it will give us an absolutely perfect primer base. Because don't forget, every stage is key to the next one. So we want to do the best job possible. How white does that primer look on that body? I don't know what it is about that body, but it makes that primer look absolutely spanking white. It really does. Anyway, this has been dry now for about 6 to 8 hours in my nice warm cave. We're going to flat it back with our, I think it's the microfine green sander, the highest grit we do sander. So what we're doing now is get rid of imperfections maybe in the primer. We're also helping the microfilling capabilities by taking that high spot of primer away, which will leave a super smooth surface below, and it will also help in fill any imperfections on the body. Now we've got our paint, our yellow metallic. So this is the base colour. So it's been thoroughly shaken. You have to thoroughly shake all paints. We're our Iwatta CR5 again, sorry, CR3.3 Revolution, 18 psi, and we're going to put several coats of the base coat down. So I would guess off the top of my head, we'll probably put 7 or 8 light coats of this down. Just building up slowly as we go. You're not going to get this covered in 2 or 3 coats. it's going to take you 7 or 8 coats. Very nice light coats. I've sped this up just so you don't have to sit there and watch me paint. But it's a case just working your way systematically around the body. So nice light thin coats are key here. You don't be going too heavy. There's no benefit to it whatsoever. So just take your time and work your way around the body. Don't forget all these little nooks and crannies in and around all those vents, in and around the wheel arches, grills, spoilers, everywhere. Make sure you get all those nooks and crannies. What we're also going to do is going to alternate for each pass of the air, well, each coat of paint. After letting it flash off for 5 minutes, we're going to come back and do an alternating direction of paint. So on one pass, we'll go side to side, and the next one will go up and down. And that will ensure we get full coverage in all the nooks and crannies and all the different angles. And you can see, even just on the first coat, just how well the paint is covering. Now, I've got a little bit of fluff just land on that roof. And luckily, because I haven't quite painted there yet, I could get it off. But yeah, just be careful here. Make sure you got your colour cup on your airbrush as well. That's a mistake I've learned many times now. And just around the whole body until you're happy. So, like I say, 7 to 8 coats like this we're going to do. Let it flash off about 5 minutes in between each coat, and then we'll come back and put the subsequent coat over the top. This is about, I think this is about halfway through. It's hard to figure out. This could be the end coats, to be honest. But you can see the coverage we've got there. We've got a beautiful yellow base coat, which is looking absolutely fabulous. And once we get that pearl coat over the top as well, it's going to look even better. But yeah, alternating up and down, side to side, really does help with coverage. Again, all those other nooks and crannies and panel lines and gaps and windows and what have you. So it's a practice well worth following. And above all, just take your time. There's no rush here. And as people always ask me, yes, you can leave the paint in your colour cup between coats. Now, this is the tint coat to go over the top. So this is a more translucent paint with a carrier in it, which has the pearlescent top coat. So because it's so nice and transparent, nice light thin coats, again, probably 7 to 8 light coats of this over the top. This will build up slowly, coat by coat, and give us that beautiful pearlescent look we're going to get. And trust me, this paint looks phenomenal. This is basically a darker shade of the triple strato that a lot of the Ferraris come in nowadays. And this colour I just found randomly. It's an official Ferrari colour code, but I cannot find any online reference for this colour. There is none at all. It's not triple strato. I have a different paint, different mix, different formula for that paint. So this is like a darker triple strato. Bit of an odd one, but it's an official Ferrari code, and it is there. So that's what we're going on. This is its name, and I tell you what, it is a beautiful, beautiful colour. So there's our pearl going down now. As you'll see, after several coats of this, the true depth of the colour comes through, and it looks absolutely fantastic. It really does. I had a few colour choices on this one, and I'm glad I chose this one. The original 812 I did, which was a standard road car, even though this is a road car, I did in a Grigio dark grey colour. I did it matte. It did look good, but for me, I'm definitely a shiny car person. I do prefer them with a bit of shine to them. So I was glad to revisit this car, and this thing is mental. Compared to the standard car, yeah, this car is nuts. It's a very angry car, normally aspirated V12. Absolutely beautiful. And you can see there the depth of that pearl coming through now. So I sped the footage up a little bit more again, just to get us through the painting. But above all, just take your time. Use proper airbrush technique. Go on and off the air after every pass. Now, I don't tend to do it after every pass. I'll tend to start on the right and do a pass left, pass right, and then come off the air. Otherwise, it's just too much. We're not painting full body doors here, so there's no need for the complete on and off after every pass. So I tend to do a pass over, a pass back, and then come off the air. So you'll get your own individual paint technique. But for now, it's kind of say as I do, or say as I do, not as I say. Hang on. Say as I do as I say, not as I do. That's the word I'm trying to say. And obviously, don't forget your other parts as well, your mirrors and the other parts that may be required. So both my cameras are playing up. I don't know what the hell is going on. But yeah, a bit of a pain. So after several coats, we can see there our colours looking absolutely amazing. You can certainly see how it's changed from that solid, beautiful yellow colour to this absolutely amazing, deep pearl yellow. It really does make a difference. And it's building up that translucent top coat that does this. That is the idea of it. Just nice light thin coats, building it up, and it gives you that depth of colour and pearlescent, which when we get this clear coated will become even more apparent. So yeah, if you're looking to use these 2-stage paints, just take your time. They're technically 3-stage paints. I don't know why they call them that, because it's a primer. Technically it's a 4. It's a primer, a base, a tint, and then a clear. I just call them 2-stage because for me it's a 2-stage paint. You've already done your priming, your clear coats to come, so it's just a 2-stage paint system for me. But the colour, absolutely stunning. I think it really suits this car, and obviously I've finished this, so I know what it looks like. I'm glad I made this colour choice for it, so yeah, very happy with this. But there's our colour essentially down and looking really good. So now the job I was looking forward to on this is all the carbon. Now thankfully it's pre-cut carbon, but oh my god, there's so much of it. There is tons of carbon in this car. So we've got our heated water over our coffee warmer. We've got all our tools on the bench. We've got our Tamiya scissors, our tweezers, a Swan Morton scalpel, and hot water. So we're just going to use these to get everything in place. Now, like I say, they're all pre-cut. They kind of fit perfectly. There's 1 or 2 issues in a few areas, but overall the fit is quite good on the carbon. One thing I do like is Hobby Design Alpha Model also gave a spare kind of rectangle of the carbon sheet, which do prove very useful for any areas that were not quite fitting properly as they should. So a thankful addition. You'll find it on the decal sheet. If you look, it's the one with basically no number on it. But lots of tricky decals on this one, and a lot of them multiple parts as well, especially that rear diffuser, which did prove to be very challenging to do in the end. So just take your time, be careful of the tweezers. It's very easy to mark your paint. It is probably the next day since I painted this, and we're just using the brush to manipulate everything in place. But trust me, when this is carbon, it is well worth it. You can see just how beautiful that pearlescent yellow paint is as well. Side skirts, tricky. So we put them in the water, hold one end, and just gently pull the backing paper off till we get it roughly where we want it. We use our tweezers to get in the final position. There we go. So yeah, always a welcome addition is pre-cut carbon. I've started the Ferrari 488 Pista. You remember that one? It was one I painted about 3 times. I kept ruining the paint. Well, I painted it a 4th time now, and I've got carbon in to do. And there are no carbon templates in the kit at all, so I've got to do it all by hand and by eye. Now, heat gun, absolutely invaluable doing decals. Wouldn't do decals anymore without one. They help just soften and conform the decal into place. Don't go too mad, you don't want to melt it. And then the UMP decal solutions to tame everything and get it where we want. Now, I'm not going to show all the carbon because we'll be here all day, but there's some of it done now, and then we're going in with the silver stripes as well. So we looked online at a few pictures of this when we were in the Zoom call. Big gang of us looking at it, and I think we were all pretty much convinced that, yeah, the silver was the way to go. I certainly was. So that's what we're going for, and I think the silver on the yellow looks absolutely fantastic. So it's been in our nice warm water and our coffee warmer. And this is one big decal to go with the roof. So we need to make sure it's straight and in the right position. And it does go over the back of the ducktail spoiler at the back. So we need to get everything bunched up and in place. So we get some just water on our brush just to kind of press it home. And a cotton bud to get rid of any excess moisture out from behind the decal itself. So just keep working at it, getting all the moisture out. There we go, and then we can get it folded over the back. And again, get our brush on there. Now it does look wonky. It's not wonky, it's perfectly straight. It must be the camera's lens or angle. Makes it look a bit off, but it is not. Trust me, it is absolutely straight. My OCD is through the roof doing stuff like this. And you will very rarely see anything masked, decaled, or painted wonky from me. I just don't roll like that. And a nice bit of clean tissue just to wipe off any excess moisture off the top. And then we can get sorted with these panel lines. So we're going to have to cut these panel lines. So we've got a nice new scalpel blade in our scalpel. What we're going to do is cut through the panel line and then get the decal set in place. So this is kind of nail biting stuff now. So I would recommend get it in place. Get it set in place with some decal solutions and heat, as I'm showing here, just to get it all conformed and in place and mostly dry. And then while it's still warm, grab your scalpel and just follow that panel line and just gently cut through. And trust me, cut panel lines with decals, not only do they look better, but they also reduce the risk of decals lifting. If a decal's going to lift anywhere, it's where it's not going to be properly set, which on this would be those panel lines. Because the solution can get underneath, it floats the decal, and that's something we definitely do not want because it's irreparable. It ruins the decals. You basically have to strip the model and start again, and we certainly don't want to do that with this one, not with all our hard work and our paint work. So carefully cut through and set it in place with some UMP decal solutions and a little bit of heat to finalise it off as well. Now thankfully Alpha Models is owned by Hobby Design, or vice versa, whichever way it is. So Hobby Design decals are absolutely second to none. They're always reliable, always good. And I have no qualms or worries using them at all. I've been using them for years and they always work really well. Obviously we've got a front decal and a mid decal as well. So using the panel lines on the car, we're just going to line everything up as per our online references, and then the last bit behind exactly the same again. Just get it in place. We do have a little indent on the bonnet there where the Ferrari logo goes, so pay attention to that because we are going to have to remove any moisture from behind it. Now carboning, loads of carboning to do on this, all pre-cut but very tedious, very boring. Multi-part, a lot of it as well, and I had to fix some bodge parts myself to do. But thankfully, 90% of the decals in the kit are pre-cut. This is that big kind of controversial aeroade on the bonnet that not a lot of people like on this car. I think it looks good. And then probably the trickiest thing of this car is this rear diffuser. So all these parts here, from all those long pieces there up, are off this spoiler. Sorry, diffuser. So it does take a bit of time, but in case just follow the instructions step by step. I have actually broken up that larger decal. You can see two more pieces at the top there, just to make it easy to get in place. And after a few hours work, there we go. Multiple pieces on there. There must be 20, 30 pieces of carbon on there easily, if not more. We have a beautiful carboned rear diffuser. So time well spent, even though it is a little bit tedious to do. It is well worth doing. Now we've got these little aeroades on the back window as well. Now, two trains of thought here is to paint them all up and then glue them in place. And I thought, nah, we're not doing that. I carboned them up because they are carbon. They've got carbon decals on them. And then I say glue them in place and we're going to 2K it all as one. It is by far the easiest way. The tolerance is very tight on the fitment, so I didn't want to 2K it and then they wouldn't fit in place. So I thought we'll get them on now and we'll just 2K it all together. It'll be easier in the long run. And then we've got the front aerodynamic aid, which is super glued in place. And a bit of bodged masking on the back with a post-it note. We've got some Tamiya, so it's not Tamiya, Pro Scale Deep Black. I'm just going to paint this back panel. Now, a bit of an odd one, this back panel. It looks somewhere between matte and gloss on a lot of different cars. So, yeah, have a look at it, pick your own colour. For me, I opted to go with the gloss version. So, a couple of coats of this all over, all carefully masked with Tamiya and Azu masking tapes. And it masked up absolutely perfect, no issues whatsoever. And we also had to mask off the wing mirrors as well. And these aren't carbon. From what I can see from the real car, from the factory, they're not carbon. They are just painted black and then cleared. And again, we want these nice and shiny, so we're ensuring that is the case. So there's probably 90% of the carbon on the exterior of the car. So we can start assembling some bits to make life a bit easier. So these parts, I wouldn't necessarily put in now on a normal kit. But because these are going to be 2K'd, it makes sense to glue them in place now, and we can 2K it all together. Now these aren't really going to be polished because there's no real areas to get into, so I'm not too fussed about putting them in just now, as long as we can get to them later on to paint them. And exactly the same for the back as well. We have these vents that go through the back. Literally push that forward. Some Bob Smith glue in there, doing its job perfectly. Hold it for a second or two, and there we go. There's those in as well. And then the little rear view camera just glued in place on the spoiler as well. So we cut through on the front for the badge emblem, and we cut through on the back for the rear view camera as well. Now, with the decals drying for at least 6 hours, we're now here with some Tamiya grey and black panel line wash to make a nice dark grey panel line wash. That's the word I'm looking for. So a bit of grey in a cup, followed by some black. And this will give us a nice dark grey wash for all the panel lines. So mix it all together and see happy with the colour. So I wouldn't go black, I wouldn't go light grey. You just want a nice dark grey. It seems to be the best colour of all these light body cars. As you can see, just touch it to the bodywork, the panel line. The capillary action will carry it through. And just carry on until it's all done all the way around. I would then wait 30 to 40 minutes and then get some Santador or another odorless mineral spirit, and we can wipe off the excess. So quite a few panel lines here. Just take your time working your way around. Try not to handle it too much. It's very easy to get on your hands and put fingerprints everywhere. Ask me how I know. Now this is a enamel based wash over our lacquer paint, so completely inert on the paints. But just bear in mind when you're rubbing it off that the abrasiveness on a cotton bud or especially kitchen paper can burn through paint, so don't go mad. Until this is 2K'd, it is still quite a delicate finish. But we get most of it off with a cotton bud with some Santador on, which is an odorless mineral spray. You get from any art store, Hobbycraft, Michaels, wherever you are in the world, you can find it. Wipe off the most with the cotton bud and then get some clean kitchen paper to mop up the excess afterwards, and it should pretty much be done there. And there we go. We're going to go around and clean up the entire body, and there we go. We're going to leave that video there today. We'll be back for part 2 very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and leave a comment down below as well. Love reading all your comments. And if you want early access to these videos, this is like you're watching this on ISM. This has been on Patreon for about 3 months. You come with Patreon down below. You get 3-month early access, 10% off pro scale paint, bench update every week, exclusive Facebook group, Facebook Messenger group. You can vote on builds. You can talk to me directly. And without your support and support of all these guys on screen right now, I couldn't make these videos. So huge thanks to everybody who's become a patron. And thank you for everyone for sticking with me. We'll be back for part 2 very soon. Have a good day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.